Okay. All right, next we're going to look at some angle pair relationships. And there were a number of angle pair relationships that you learned back in geometry, but there are two that are important for us to review. And the first are complementary angles. Alright, so complementary angles are two angles whose measures have the sum of 90 degrees. So two angles whose measures have the sum of 90 degrees. And then the other angle pair relationship are supplementary angles. And supplementary angles are two angles whose measures have the sum of 180 degrees. Okay, so let's look at some examples of using this. And so the first example would be if angle 1 is a complement of angle 2 and the measure of angle 2 equals 57 degrees, find the measure of angle 1. Alright, so in this particular case, the key to this problem is understanding what does complement mean. So complementary angles are two angles whose measures have the sum of 90 degrees. So we can say the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 equals 90 degrees. Then we know that the measure of angle 2 is 57 degrees. So the measure of angle 1 plus 57 degrees equals 90 degrees. We can then solve for the measure of angle 1 by subtracting 57 from both sides. So the measure of angle 1 equals 33 degrees. And this would be our answer. All right, now one thing I want you guys to note is how much work I have shown. So some of you probably just went and said, well, it's 33 degrees. Well, just don't write 33 degrees. Actually show the steps. Show that, well, I understand that two angles add up to 90 degrees are complements. I then substituted in my angle, and then I solved for the other angle. So these are things that I look for example, in homework on test, as far as showing work. Let's try another one. If angle 3 and angle 4 are supplementary angles, and the measure of angle 3 is 41 degrees, find the measure of angle 4. So again, the whole point of this problem is you have to understand what does supplementary angles mean. And supplementary angles are two angles whose measures add up to 180 degrees. So let's write that out. The measure of angle 3 plus the measure of angle 4 equals 180 degrees. Now the measure of angle 3 is 41 degrees plus the measure of angle 4 equals 180 degrees. We then subtract 41 degrees from both sides, and the measure of angle 4 equals 139 degrees. And there's our answer. So again, make sure you show your work so that you have these steps indicating the process and the concept of finding values using supplementary angles. Okay, so in this video we reviewed the concept of an angle and angles, and we went through some vocabulary, identification, types of angles, and some angle pair relationships. Hopefully most of this information was just refresher, and once we went through it, it refreshed your mind, and so all this stuff is now in there as we continue our study into trigonometry.